Crew territory is back. Scotty, Braun, and Kratz. And Kratzy, you know what the perfect medicine is for a team that gets a little sluggish?
Wins, runs,
The
sweep.
Kansas City Royals. Well, the way they're playing this year. Sorry, Royals fans. Your team's not very good. And for Milwaukee, they had a slow stretch. That included that brutal series in Denver. They play a little better against the Dodgers, taking the first, but then dropping the next two. And then they just wipe away Kansas City over the weekend to get back on track.
As my friend Scotty Braun said, you got to beat the teams you got to beat. And they came out and beat them. I mean, the Royals gave a little bit push shove there, but ultimately the better team won.
Yeah, that 7-run third inning on Sunday really did it. So, hey, let's bring in our special guest today on Brew Crew territory, Sophia Minnaert from Brewers TV, joining us. You probably had a great time back in the day covering this legend right below me in the screen. Sophia, how you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. And yeah, when Eric Kratz asks you to do something, you say yes. So yeah, it's great to see you guys again. Kratzy, thanks for asking me to come on, and excited to talk some Brewers with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get into it first. I've got a Christian Yelich question, and just want to know, when we spoke to him probably about 3-ish weeks ago, he's like, I feel like it's there. I just can't consistently keep it there like I used to. So did we get one of those bursts again over the weekend?
I think it's actually even bigger than just the weekend. I think the weekend is going to get a lot of attention, right? He had the multi-homer game on Saturday, and then yesterday it was second pitch, just absolutely destroyed to right field. So Christian had a really good weekend, but I think beyond that, it's been the last probably 10 or 12 games. Really, I think you can look to the whole month of May where the power's starting to come back. The hard contact has been there for him the whole season, so that's probably what he's referring to with, like, I feel like it's there, it's close, right? And now it's like he's starting to get the ball in the air more. You're starting to see the power. But he's done a great job. He's getting on base a lot. He's, I think, leading the team in walks still. He and Willie Adames are right there together. So he's definitely doing his job at the leadoff spot. And I think just having that power threat there does a lot for this lineup.
What do you think comes first? Do you think Weimer getting a walk-off? You think Adames's bat starting to get hot? What comes first? Yelich getting hot, or those guys getting hot and then other teams being like, all right, we got to throw to him? Because to me, that's why Yelich's got so many walks. Like, if the other guys aren't doing their part, then, I think they're not really helping him.
Yeah, I think, look, it all starts with Christian, right? I mean, and I think especially those games that he's in the leadoff spot, and you know this, Eric, from having played with him in 18, like, he's an incredibly disciplined hitter. He's not a guy that's going to chase a lot. He knows his zone. He knows himself, knows his swing. He's a big feel guy, right? That's what he's talking about with, like, he just knows what it feels like, and that's what every hitter is trying to do, right? Is try to get back to that feeling when you feel like you're locked in and you've got like your best swing and you're in your best position to hit. So that's what he's always looking for. But I just think it's the whole combination of what he brings in the leadoff spot. It's the discipline, it's the walks, it's base hits, it's power, it's speed. He had quite an adventure around the bases in that 7-run inning in the third that started with the stolen base. So it's the whole package of what he brings to the leadoff spot. And then, when he's on base so much, that's really gives, Willie and Rowdy and William Contreras and everyone hitting behind him, great opportunities to score runs.
Nice work by the bullpen this past week, and especially Eric Lauer picking up significant innings on Sunday to save up for a really big week for this ball club against the Cardinals and the Rays. So just to go big picture on the pen, how would you describe the roller coaster this bullpen has been on over the past year now up until this point, starting to find themselves?
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. And I think, you go back to spring training when they're trying to put this roster together, that was probably the area of the team that had the most amount of questions around it, just because there were a lot of new faces. And you know what you have in Devin Williams. He's one of the best closers in the game, just absolutely nasty stuff. And so it was really just, you've got a great starting rotation. What do you do with those innings in between to get to Devin? Like, what is going to be that consistent formula? Because we know it's going to be different than what it was last year. And so I think they've had a lot of guys step up in that role, like Peter Strzelecki. We saw him in 30 games last year. He's been great this year. Matt Bush, he's on the IL right now. He's an arm that they're going to count on. Yoel Payamps was new to this bullpen. He has stepped up and delivered some huge innings. Colby Milner, at times he's been the only lefty for the majority of the season. He's been the only lefty in there, so he's been counted on a lot. And they've kind of figured out these roles. And for a while they had the best bullpen in the National League, which I'm not sure anybody would have expected that at the beginning of the year. But they're doing a great job just covering the innings that they have to. And you spoke about Eric Lauer. That was a huge effort from him. He hadn't pitched out of the pen, I think, since 21. So for him to give the innings that they did, give those guys a break, it sets them up really well for a big series this week against the Cardinals.
Is this who they want to throw against the Cardinals? Is this the three-headed monster that they're going to be pushing without Woody? And what are these guys? What do these guys need to do to help that bullpen? What does the starting rotation need to do to help the bullpen?
And honestly, just what they've done up until this point. And I do think you feel really good about Freddie Peralta being out there. This is maybe as good as we've seen Freddie pitch going back to that 21 All-Star season. He's healthy, first of all. He's got all of his pitches going. The fastball has been great for him. He's given the team a handful of quality starts already. Freddie's in a really good place just with health, velocity, stuff. He's pitching really well. And then Wade Miley, I think his impact, you know what he can do, Eric, from 2018. He's not just an absolute gem of a human being, but he has delivered some absolutely monster starts. And again, being a lefty in there with Eric Lauer having struggled a little bit and now kind of making this move to the bullpen, I think having Wade in there, he's just so steady. He's such a stabilizing force for them. And then, of course, you've got Corbin lined up for Wednesday. And Corbin last year just absolutely dominated the Cardinals. I was more than 40 strikeouts against St. Louis last year. So I think they're hoping for more of the same here. And so, yeah, I think just quality starts from them is really all they need. And that's what these three specifically have done up until this point.
Sophia, clearly winnable division for this team. They're in a position where they can certainly do that. Obviously, we're super early still in the season, just getting to about the quarter pole. What's missing for the team, and how can they find it? Is it in the minor leagues? Is it potentially via trade when we get to the deadline?
Well, I think the story offensively around this team has just been they haven't consistently hit left-handed pitching. And so that's what's an interesting part of this lineup is they have a couple players who have reverse splits. Um, Owen Miller, for example, is a player that has really started to heat up, and I think he's got a 7-game hitting streak right now. His on-base streak is over 12 games now, 16 games, I think. So he's a player that has done a good job hitting lefties. Christian's always done a good job against lefties. Rowdy Tellez, it's kind of like when you're facing left-handed pitching, you're going to see some combination of Christian and Rowdy, and then they're pretty much platooning everybody else. So I think that's going to be their challenge here moving forward is finding a more consistent way to hit lefties. In terms of what that looks like, I think they're trying to find some answers because some of it sort of doesn't make sense with the reverse splits. Keston Hiura was always a great example of a hitter who that was true for as well. He's in AAA with the Nashville Sounds. Possible we could see him at some point. But for now, this is the group that they have. So that's going to be their challenge here to figure that out moving forward.
So many times people ask me what makes the Brewers the Brewers, and I say it's one guy, but that one guy, Sophia, does not have a contract yet for next year, and it's Craig Counsell. What is the latest, and what have you talked to Craig? Is there there's never any panic from Craig, so I'm sure there's no panic from him on this either, but I can't see anybody else managing the Brewers.
I know it is. And honestly, we don't spend any time talking about it. That might seem crazy to people that are following the Brewers, but we talked about it with Craig at spring training, and I think he was very clear. He does not want this to be a story for the rest of the season, and he will see how the season goes, and then he'll determine things in the off season. And I think Brewers fans know, they have all talked, right? This is not something that is left unsaid between Mark Atanasio, between Matt Arnold in the front office, between Craig. At the end of the day, this is solely Craig's decision, whether he wants to continue managing. It's It's not a secret, like, his boys are gonna be playing Big Ten baseball. Brady's already playing at the University of Minnesota. Jack will graduate here and go to the University of Michigan. So maybe Craig wants to be a dad and watch his kids play college baseball, and he has earned that right, no doubt. So it's solely going to be Craig's decision. I think it's an open invitation from the team. Obviously, they would love to keep Craig there in the manager spot. The success speaks for itself. If you talk to any player that has played for Craig, his reputation speaks for itself. So it's not something we talk about out of respect for Craig because he's earned that as well. And so it'll be his decision at the end of this.
Kratzy, I think the Brewers just don't want him back, probably, like not a great in-game manager, gets like all of the payroll and all of the resources in the world and just like kind of chills on it. No, I'm totally kidding, obviously. But on the resources front, this team has gone through a youth movement and that continues. No secret. And we talk about him almost every show for Brew Crew territory that Jackson Chourio is one of the best prospects in the game. But we've seen that youth movement, especially on offense, to start the season. So how is that front going? Because this team, at least in terms of prospect rankings as an organization, was towards the bottom of most publications, and they've risen up and they're getting the most out of some of their guys as well.
I think what's been great, is when you look at the start of the season, like, you had Garrett Mitchell, you had Bryce Terang on the opening day roster, and then Joey Weimer joined essentially the second game of the season when Luis Arias went out with the injury. So, Garrett Mitchell obviously had some really tough luck with the shoulder injury, but I think what Bryce and Joey have done has just been great in terms of they're in the lineup every day. Bryce, they've sat him a couple of times against lefties. Usually they go to Owen or to Mike Brasso there in the starting lineup. But I think just for them to be in the lineup every day, they have provided exceptional defense. I think we've talked about it a lot with both of them. Joey, leading the league in defensive runs saved. He has made some absolutely ridiculous catches. It's like you just feel like it's a throwback, like low K, not today with Joey Weimer out there. He just runs everything down. And Bryce Terang as well. It's like he's got all the tools having come up as a shortstop. He's got great range. He's got great hands. He's quick feet. He's really mobile. He's smart out there. I think he and Willie Adames have been a great combination. So I think the defense is what allowed them to be patient with them offensively. Bryce Terang just had a big 3-run bomb yesterday. So these guys they're going to have their moments. They're going to produce, but it's also like they're seeing major league pitching for the first time. And so that's a challenge. And they're being challenged with how they're being pitched to. And, they're just now over 100 plate appearances. So I think we're always trying to be cognizant of the fact that like there's a lot of real-time learning happening for these players on a daily basis. And you guys know it's like just stacking up at bats, innings, experiences, all of that. That's what's going to ultimately help these guys.
If somebody's going to help them, it's going to be Craig. So might as well just give him the blank contract and we'll sign it. We're going to go a little bit more Brewer focused here. David Vassay, I think I'm saying that right. Is it Vassay?
David Vassay, yeah, close
Vassay,
enough.
From the Dodgers, came on a little redemption tour this last time in town because you obviously knew the accident that happened last year. Have you been down the slide yourself recently?
It's been over a year since I've been down the slide. And it's funny because after David's incident, I feel like it's like those are the questions you get most often when other teams come into town. It's like, can I go down the slide? Can I be a famous racing sausage? And like, can I meet Bob Uecker? Those are probably like the 3 most commonly asked questions when people come to Milwaukee. I have not been down the slide since the incident. I give David a lot of credit for coming back on his redemption tour. I have had other reporters ask me about going down the slide, and I always just say, I'm happy to help, coordinate it and help connect you with the right people to get this done for your show or whatever. But please I cannot have this on my conscience, like any more injuries happening to reporters. So look, that's what people want to do. So I'm glad that we got through injury free this time.
I like how we call it the incident. It was ridiculous. Hey, the ballpark does have insurance on its name, right? So
True.
Now,
True.
Now, yep.
American fam. This is a perfect spot to jump in there for anyone that wants to use the slide from now on. Little waiver action. But Sophia, this was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Great catching up with you.
All right. Thanks, guys, for having me. Have a great day.
Thank you, Sophia
Sophia.
Minnaert from Brewers TV joining us. And we're going to swing it over to JJ Cooper from Baseball America on some of the top prospects in the sport, which has to include Jackson Chourio. The new top 100 prospects update today at baseballamerica.com still has a number one of
Jackson Chourio, Brewers outfielder, Brewers center fielder, who isn't having a great start to the season. He's been okay. But the thing that's tough about this is he's in the Southern League, which you might go, well, why does the Southern League matter? But that's the one league in the minors where Major League Baseball is experimenting with a sticky baseball, a pre-tax sticky baseball that's, well, I don't think it's ever going to go to the majors the way it's working, but basically has turned almost every pitcher in that league into, imagine like if you had spider tack and, plus, like guys are now like everyone's fastball's better. Everyone's fastball's moving at I've slathered my hands and stick them kind of rate. And so Chourio's been okay, but he is striking out a lot. But everyone in that league's striking out a lot because they're facing a different baseball.
When is Chourio coming up? I don't care that he's not playing that well because he'll come up to the bigs, and at least for the most part, most guys aren't using heavy spider tack or the baseball that they botched down there for now.
I do think it's possible by the end of the year. We do have to remember he is a teenager still. And so while it happens, like if he got up at the end of the year, that would be kind of an Andrew Jones speed, which I have to kind of go back Juan Soto speed. Like there aren't many guys who, even we talk about Zach Neto. Zach Neto is a college guy. Like getting up to the majors in any way before you turn 20 is a pretty significant step. And I think that's possible with Chourio, but I think he's going to have a while in AA, and I do think there probably will be a AAA step in between before he goes to the major.
The Brewers have the number one prospect, as we mentioned. What team, do the Brewers have the best farm system? What team has the best farm system? I guess the Orioles, maybe?
I would say the Orioles
would you say
right now.
they have the best farm system?
They rank them.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, we say.
I
Yeah,
couldn't
we
get
say.
into there was a paywall, so I apologize.
Yes, there is a paywall, but yeah, we are the.
He was supposed to give me a
login.
login last time. He hasn't done it yet.
No, we got
it. But yeah, no, the Orioles are preseason, and I don't think that's changed, especially with what Jackson Holliday's done. The thing to watch for now, we're not saying this is going to happen, but it could. So our number one prospect coming into the year was Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles. Our number one prospect last year was Adley Rutschman of the Orioles. It could be Jackson Holliday. Chourio versus Holliday is going to be a fun battle this year. But if it's number one Jackson Holliday coming into next year, that's unprecedented. Like you do not see a team pump out three. Now, picking at the top of the draft sure helps in the case of Adley and Holliday, but you don't see a team pumping out three straight number one prospects. It's not. We've been doing top 100 since 1990. It's never happened.
JJ, always awesome catching up. Wish we had more time. We'll do it again soon. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Thank you, guys.
Here's the crazy crux that you were referring to earlier. David Vasse, who had an unfortunate, as Sophia called it, incident on the slide a year ago, redeemed himself, and it looked like this.
All right, we're back here in Milwaukee. I'm heading out to center field for redemption. I've gone through a lot of mental and emotional trauma. Rehabilitation.
Hi, guys. I do my own stunts.
And I'm heading back out to center field. Sliding ain't easy. I'm up here. Woo. Holy crap! Holy crap!
So, Kratzy, obviously, there is a way to redeem yourself, and it's by using the baby slide so you don't get yourself hurt again, because you can't get hurt back-to-back times. But eventually, he might muster up the courage to try and conquer that slide again, and he might need to call you.
Absolutely. I'll tell him the walk up there is the scariest part. Now, he had an unfortunate accident. I, on the other hand, am a pro. I actually almost broke my ankle getting it stuck in between the pad at the end of my slide down there. But I gotta see David get back up on the slide. Maybe next year when the Dodgers come in town.
There's no way players are allowed nowadays to go on that slide. Current players. They
don't
shouldn't.
know.
They shouldn't. I know what you're saying. Like, there's a lot of that going on. Like, hey, maybe we clinch the playoffs and the place is closed and we had a few adult beverages and we're having a time. But I'm just saying, if I'm owning the team, that's like my one rule in the ballpark. No slide. I'm closing it off. If someone gets hurt with my freaking team that I invested in, you can have unlimited slide rides once you retire as a Brewer. You play one game with Milwaukee, you call me as the owner anytime, I'll open that damn place up and you can have a freaking slip and slide party. So just saying. That's what we cover here on Brew Crew territory. Thanks for joining us. Good luck to your Brew Crew this week, and we'll see you next week. Foul Territory fans, listen up. Our friends at BetMGM are running an MLB Bet $10, get $100 instantly promo with the bonus code SPICYMLB. Here's how it works. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your newly created account. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android. Place a pregame moneyline wager of at least $10 on any MLB team to win at standard odds price, and you will receive $100 in bonus bets instantly. If you sign up in Massachusetts or Ohio, you receive $200 in bonus bets. Use the bonus code SPICYMLB.